These are my personal opinions. Always seek a professional when you're making choices about your mental health and well-being. Good to connect with you again. Glad you are here. Thanks for joining me. I want to read something that I received in the Overwhelmed Brain Empowerment group on Facebook, which you are welcome to join. Just look up the Overwhelmed Brain in Facebook and you'll see the group. Somebody wrote, I have a question that's been baffling me. If somebody tells you their needs aren't being met, but is referring to sexual means, are those still considered needs? Or is it a reaction from other needs not being met? I feel it can also be weaponized against somebody if this were the case. So I'm just looking for some clarity. Thank you. That was a quick question with a very deep well of meaning. So when I answer these questions, I like to put myself in the position of the person asking and the person they're asking about. Person asking is probably in a place where somebody wants more sex or wants some specific kind of sex or something. And that person sounds like they're saying, what about my needs? I have needs too. And they're talking of a sexual nature. Here's my first quick answer. I don't know if I have a long answer, but I do have a quick answer. My quick answer is sex involves two people that must meet in the middle somewhere to mutually agree to perform the act. And don't write to me and say, sometimes it's more than two people. I'm here to talk about at least two people. Well, let's just stay in that because it gets a little more complicated when it's more than two people. So in a typical relationship of any kind, sex involves two people. So when one person isn't getting what they want or isn't getting enough, it shouldn't turn into a guilt fest. It shouldn't turn into, what about my needs? I have sexual needs and I need those fulfilled. That's not how it should work. How it should work is, hey, honey, I would like to talk about this. We have sex X number of times per week, per month, per year, whatever it is. And I want more. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a healthy relationship in the first place. The healthy relationship is someone who feels like they can be themselves around you and have bad days, have good days, want sex sometimes and doesn't want it at other times, and it being perfectly okay. I was just talking to somebody in the Healed Being group, the group I run for people doing emotionally abusive behavior who want to change. And I said, you have to be desirable and attractive to the person in your life, in a romantic relationship. You have to be desirable and attractive. And don't take that the wrong way. That doesn't mean that you're not physically attractive. That's not it. I mean, that's a part of sexual attraction, but attractive and desirable is a big bucket. And let's just not even talk about the physical aspect of that. Physical aspect involves our hardwiring. Now, there's pheromones and things like that. There's physical attraction, but let's not even go there yet, because we also need, in a typical normal, quote, normal, healthy relationship, you also need to feel safe. You need to feel emotionally connected. I mean, not everyone, but this is typical. You need to feel trusting and trusted. You need to feel like you can be yourself without being put down for it. You need to feel like you're having a bad week or a bad month and you don't want sex at all, and your partner says, that's okay. I'm here for you when you're ready, or whatever you need. What can I do for you? That is a healthy, mutual, beneficial relationship. Now, somebody might say, that's not mutually beneficial because I'm not experiencing the benefit. I'm not getting the sex. So what do I do about that? What you do is honor them where they are. So if they do need to take a week or a month or longer away from that, That is where they are. And of course, there might be something else going on. So we have to talk about that. But when there's something else going on, we don't turn it into, I'm not getting enough sex. We stay away from that subject because sex is a buildup of emotional connection and trust and safe, feeling secure and feeling safe with somebody that you feel good being yourself around. You feel safe being yourself around. If you feel safe being with somebody else and they honor that, they honor the place you're in and you need to be, then the sexual hardwiring can usually happen on its own. But I can almost guarantee if there's a pressure to have sex because they feel like their needs aren't being met, then that's going to cause a rift between the two people. So this question being asked is, if somebody tells you their needs aren't being met and is referring to sex, are those still considered needs? They are considered wants. And hardwiring wise, yes, they are considered needs. I guess I could probably get on board with that. But, if it's really sex they desire and they want it from you and they can't get it from you, what does that mean? Are they going to go get it from somebody else? Or are they going to do what we all have the capability to do, which is take care of it ourselves? I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to get into detail. But if somebody really needs that and they need to feel that experience, there are ways to do that. So I find it kind of an excuse that when they say, I have needs, well, if you have needs, well, go take care of those needs. That's cold, I know. And there are people listening right now who are in relationships that they're not getting their sexual wants and quote needs met. And I understand that. I completely understand that. And there are a lot of people out there that have a strong desire for it, sometimes stronger than the people they're with. And so they desire it more. But there has to be a solid foundation of a sexual energy that needs to build. And sexual energy doesn't build on I need sex. It's not the pressure that builds the sexual energy, because that's guilting. That's forcing someone to feel bad so they'll have sex. What about my needs? What about my... And it sounds like I'm putting them down and making fun of them. I'm not. I've been in that position before. I've felt like I needed more and my partner couldn't provide. And it's funny because Asha, my wife, and I have had these conversations where our sexual cycles will be off. And she told me that she needs to feel romanced. She can't, we both work from home. She can't sit at home not connecting all day and then suddenly feel sexual, suddenly feel romantic. She needs to be romanced. And what does that mean? That could be going to a concert. That could mean enjoying a night out and walking through town or something. And what it does is when you connect with each other in a different way like that, instead of just watching TV then going to bed, when you find a way to connect with each other, then you are able to take a break from everyday routine. And when you take a break from routine and you introduce new elements to the relationship, going out, going bowling, playing pool, or going dancing, and other things that liven up what might seem to be routine, it can often help build that sexual energy. But it shouldn't be done with the primary goal of sex. It shouldn't be the only purpose, because the sex should be a natural outcome in a, quote, normal, healthy relationship when you have built a foundation of connection, emotional connection. An emotional connection, typically, it can happen in a vacuum, but typically you need to have experiences to have an emotional connection. Asha and I have been together for 10 years, sitting at the kitchen table and talking about all sorts of stuff doesn't necessarily mean we're building a sexual energy. It just means we're enjoying a conversation with the person that we care about. And just because we are connecting and we are having some emotional time together, it may not be enough to really amplify any type of sexual energy. And so that's why sometimes introducing, or often introducing, any type of novelty to the relationship, any other elements to the relationship. And again, it could be as simple as, let's go take a walk through the neighborhood. If you never do that, that could be something that introduces a different element. I think taking yourself out of your normal routine and your normal element is a way to build a solid foundation together. You're doing things together. You're having experiences together. And that helps build the sexual energy. What often happens in some relationships is one person wants sex more, so that's all they think about and that's all they talk about. And the other person feels like, well, I don't know what to do about it. I feel guilted. I feel manipulated. I feel whatever. And let's go to the bedroom, and then suddenly, okay, it's over. Thank God that's over. Let's hope it doesn't happen for another few days. That's no way to live. It's not a mutually beneficial relationship. So this is one way that you might look at how to build a sexual energy connection with somebody in your life. And take it or leave it from me. I'm 54 years old, and it has taken me a long time to figure this out. And there's some wisdom in what I said. And it doesn't always have to be like leaving the house or anything like that. Sometimes you can find that emotional connection without ever leaving the house. But it does involve more than your routine. So sometimes you have to change the routine. But two people have to do it. Two people have to know that this is the way you build that good, solid, healthy foundation so that sex can be a natural part of the relationship. Now, if there's a lack of attraction and desire, you have to look at those components first. Don't look at the physical aspect. Don't just think, well, I'm too fat or skinny, or too tall or short, or they don't like my hair anymore. They don't like the way I'm dressed. You don't look at that first. I told Asha, I said, I love it when you're in just sweatpants, no makeup, a sweatshirt, and that's it. I just love that. I think it's cute. It's comfy to me. And if she dresses up, I love that too. But I don't expect too much. I don't require too much. And she loves that she can do that, and she can dress up and be herself in any other way. And I support that. And I think that's a healthy approach. But if we expect our mate, our partner, to do something out of the ordinary so that we can be attracted to them, then there's something else going on. I think that it's important to have a good solid foundation that I'm talking about here, and that needs to be in place first. But let's just say that the hardwiring doesn't work. Let's just say that all that stuff is in place, but there's still no attraction. The pheromones aren't working, and the peacock feathers aren't attractive enough. You know, how you attract a mate. What is that about? There may be a loss of attraction. In my work with couples for the last 10 or so years, most of the time, it's not about what somebody looks like or what somebody has changed about themselves. Most of the time, it's about that foundation is too shaky. It's not well built. It's not two people holding hands going to the beach every now and then. It is, hey, I want sex. How come you don't want it? It's just a raw, shallow conversation. And it goes nowhere. And it creates a rift. And it continues to create a rift. So that's how I look at this, is the person who wrote to me. If you are in a relationship and somebody says, my needs aren't being met sexually, I would want to know exactly what that means. What do you mean? Tell me, what do you mean? Well, they're going to explain it, hopefully. We only have sex once a month, and then you'll have a conversation. And then that conversation might turn into, well, I'm not in the mood. And then the other person might ask, well, why? Let's hope this turns into an adult conversation. Asha and I have had plenty of adult conversations because I wanted to get to the bottom of things. And so does she. She wants to know what's going on. Let's figure this out together. That's another thing. This is a together thing. Sex isn't, I have needs. Sex is, hey, let's enjoy this thing that we have, that we've been given, this gift, and let's enjoy it together. But if you aren't enjoying it, let's have a conversation about it. Or if you don't want it, let's have a conversation about it. I know when Asha hit menopause, it changed the cycle of things. And so that's something I've learned to adapt to. And then when I hit my 50s, it changed the cycle of things. That's something she's learned to adapt to. And so it changes as you get older, of course. But I don't think sex should ever be swept under the rug. I think if you have a sexual issue in your relationship, it needs to be talked about. Otherwise, it's always on your mind. It's always in the back of your mind. It's always something that you're thinking about. Whether it's somebody going, I want more, and the other person going, I hope they don't ask, I hope they don't ask. It's always there when it's not discussed. So sometimes you have to have those hard conversations. So again, that's my answer to the person who asked that question in the Facebook group. And they also said, I feel it can also be weaponized against somebody if this were the case. Absolutely. Somebody can, and I already said it, somebody can make you feel guilty for not wanting it. So you feel like you have to do it. Otherwise, you're not a good partner or whatever. That's a manipulation. I would feel terrible if I had to guilt my partner into intimacy. That's not intimacy. That's coercion. That's not connection. That's not what a loving, supportive, caring, respectful person does to another person. They don't force them into a mindset that they're not in. They talk about it. Hey, why don't you want sex anymore? Let's talk about this. I think it's important. You may have to have a hard conversation where it goes, well, I'm just not in the mood anymore. I just don't have that drive anymore. And that might turn into, well, I have that drive. What are we going to do about it? What can we do about it? I don't want to make you feel guilty. I don't want to have to take care of it myself all the time. What do we need? Do we need to go to therapy? Do we need to connect more outside the house? What is it? Let's talk about it. And it won't be easy, because where is it going to go? Let's just say that it ends up where one person doesn't want sex anymore. I would want to know the reason. Is it completely hormonal? Or is it, if somebody else came along that you would want sex, that you would feel attracted to that person? Then the question becomes why? Why would you be attracted to that person as opposed to the person you're with? That's an important question. If it's only physical, you have to remember that it's not only physical for everyone. But if it's only physical for you, and you're not including all the emotional stuff, that huge emotional foundation that you're supposed to build before sex is even discussed or even thought of, then you're going to run into issues, because if the person you're with wants that emotional foundation and they don't care if they have it or not, or you don't care if you have it or not, and they want the emotional stuff, then you might have an incompatibility. And that's my final thought on that, is that sometimes you're incompatible. I've had an incompatible relationship before where the intimacy wasn't as enjoyable for either of us. It just didn't work out great. That might be an incompatibility. And when that happens, there might be something else you have to talk about. Does that mean separating? Does that mean going with other people? That's just something you have to talk about. There are open relationships. There's polyamory. There are all kinds of things out there that I myself don't and won't explore. I'm not interested. But there are people who listen to this show that reach out to me and say, yeah, that's me. That's what I do. I have a friend that has an open relationship. But again, I don't talk about that. I don't know about it enough. I don't have the experience. And I'm not interested in that. So it would be something that some people might want to explore. I'm just throwing everything on the wall and seeing what sticks for you. So I hope this helps in some way, and I don't want to leave it with that. If that's not your thing, don't explore it. But that is something that might be a conversation for somebody out there. But to the person who wrote in the Facebook group, I thank you for writing that. I hope that helps. January always feels like a fresh start, those 365 blank pages waiting to be filled with new chapters of our lives. Honestly, I really don't do resolutions, but I do tend to think about how I can make this year better than the last. And sometimes we need outside guidance to help us figure out what that looks like and how to become the author of the story we want to live. That's where therapy can help. It's like having an editorial partner to revise the parts that aren't working and write meaningful new passages. The sponsor of today's episode, BetterHelp, makes therapy convenient and affordable by providing online access to over 30,000 credentialed therapists across a wide range of specialties. BetterHelp will empower you with positive coping skills and the tools to be the best version of yourself, whether you've experienced major life struggles or just want to optimize your mental health. Plus, you can easily switch therapists at any time at no cost. Write your story with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/brain today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/brain. There's another question in that group, but I'm not going to have time to answer it. It's a little bit longer. It is a relationship question. Well, you know what? I'm going to talk about it right now. I'm not going to read you the message, but this person, his wife said, I think it's him, his wife said something along the lines of, why didn't you give the kids breakfast? Something like that. And he wrote her a text later on and said, no, I didn't do the dishes. I didn't make kids breakfast. I have 4 hours sleep. I work late on these days and I just couldn't get it done. And he said, I'm exhausted and I don't want you to have a dirty kitchen and I don't want you to have to make the kids breakfast. And he just wrote her that text. And then he asked the group, am I out of line? Am I making this too big of a deal? My wife is accusing me and has these expectations of me and she thinks I'm lazy and I don't care about our marriage. And then I think maybe she's right. Maybe, she has these rational and logical explanations that prove to me that I'm not doing enough. So I have this schedule that doesn't work out sometimes. And I just don't know how to approach this. So I'll give you an answer. This is my thought. And I don't have your wife's side. I don't have what exactly happened that brought this up. But it sounds like it's been going on a while. This, you haven't done what you're supposed to do, or you haven't done what you told me you would do. Here's the thing. If my partner, I'm going to put myself in your shoes. If my partner, Asha, said, I need this done, will you do that? And I said, yes, I will. And I didn't get it done. Does it matter if I worked until 4 a.m. and woke up at 6 a.m. and had to work again? Would it matter? Somebody might say, well, that, she should give you a break because you worked so long. But I said I'd have it done. Yeah, but she can't expect you to do that on 2 hours sleep. But I said I'd have it done. That's one perspective. I told her I'd have it done. So her having trust in me expected to have that done. If I had to move mountains, I would get that done. That's what she wants. That's what she needs. So would I move that mountain? Would I forego sleep to get it done? Because I told her I would. Now, if I couldn't do it, and I really wanted to, but I couldn't because I was just so darn tired, I would tell her, I can't do it. This is ahead of time. I can't do it. It's not going to happen. I'm going to get 2 hours sleep and I need my sleep that night. So I won't be able to do it. Let's work together and figure this out. Maybe I can make their breakfast in the morning and you can microwave it. I'll figure this out. I'm going to do something to make it easier on you because I know you have a hectic schedule too. So let's figure this out together because we both know that I'm going to be tired that day. Because I'm hoping that she understands that I'm working hard. I'm working hard for us, and you are too, and I just want to make this work for us. But I'm going to be honest with myself, and I'm going to be honest with you, but I won't be able to do it. I just know it. And hopefully she'll say, okay, let's work something out. That's one perspective. Another perspective is, okay, are her expectations too great of me? Now, here's where things get a little dicey, because her expectations may be about her priority, and she expects you to have the same priority. What is the priority? She wakes up and the kids are hungry. She wakes up and the kids don't have their lunches packed for school. And now she has to do it. So her expectation of you doing it, sure, it might be over the top. Maybe she has too many expectations of you, but they're both of your kids. If this always comes down to what the kids need, then her priority, no matter what, is the kids. Not you, not your schedule, not what you can or can't do, doesn't matter. If you have to be 15 minutes late for work because you made the kids lunch, then she's not going to see that as you doing something special. She's going to see that as you being their dad. It's another perspective, and it could be her only perspective. She may expect you to do the normal things that a parent is supposed to do. Again, from her perspective, that might be what she's expecting of you. So it doesn't matter if you didn't get enough sleep, because she's going to come up with the, what's she going to say? The argument that I woke up every hour when they were babies. I made sure they were taken care of hour upon hour. When you were at work, I had to feed them and clean up after them and watch their every move while raising our children. And you can't take a few minutes to make their lunch and make their breakfast and whatever. That could be her perspective, because her priority might be the kids need this, and they need their parents to do this, and they need their parents to cooperate, and they need their parents to sacrifice what's important to them, because now the kids are the most important things in both of your lives. So it really comes down to maybe what she values, from this second perspective I'm talking about. And this could be the crux of it all. The kids are priority. You must sacrifice your comfort, your fun, your recreational time, your sleep. You must do that because the kids take priority. If you are sick and your kid is sick, you still prioritize them. You got to take care of yourself first. But if you have to drive your kid to the hospital, you're going to do so while you're sick. If you have to make your kids breakfast, you're going to try. Again, her perspective. And it might be the best perspective to have. It might be what she expects. And when you don't meet that expectation, she is going to lay it on you. Hey, I expect this from you and you're not doing it. And where you go might be, yeah, but there are reasons I can't do that. And these are the reasons. And basically what she hears, this is just an assumption, but what she hears is, my kids aren't important enough for me to sacrifice sleep for. That is a low blow, and it could be totally untrue, but maybe that's what she hears. Maybe that's how she hears you talking. Oh, it's all about you again. So that's something that hopefully you can talk about, talk through, and find compromises. I imagine if she cares about you, if she really does love you, that she cares about your amount of sleep and amount of energy, and there needs to be some realistic expectations. So if you believe that she has some unrealistic expectations, go into it, go into a conversation with her with the priority being the kids, because I have a feeling that's where she is. It doesn't matter if you're comfortable. It doesn't matter if you're happy or not. We have kids. This is what we signed up for. You're going to have to put your big boy pants on and be dad. Again, her perspective. I'm not saying this to you directly from me, but let's just say that's how she feels. When you have a conversation with her about, how to take care of the kids, don't make it about you. Don't make it about her. Make it about, okay, what can we do to make sure that the kids are fed in the morning? And then you can say, this is the time I have, and I'm usually exhausted by this point, and I don't think I'll be able to make breakfast that morning. In fact, if I go into work the next day exhausted, I know that I'm just going to perform poorly and it just won't go well for me. And then you can say, but I want to make sure the kids are fed. So what can we do to make this happen? Should I make their meals the night before? Should I do this? Should I do that? And so there might be some more preparation involved, like you intimated, or you said something in your post. I didn't read it out loud, but you said, maybe I do have to plan better, and I know I can. So that might be it. But I think it's a thing that you have to talk about mutually. You have to bring it up. And I realize she may not be doing that with you. She may not be saying, hey, it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about the kids. But I have a feeling, again, that that's where her values are. Like her top priority, her top value is making sure the kids are taken care of. And she may be thinking, well, who cares how you feel? These are our kids and you have to take care of them. I'm not saying that your expectations are unreasonable. I'm not saying that what you said in that post is not, is out of line, because it's perfectly in line. You are expressing some very real issues. And if they are issues, then what I would do is talk about this with kids as a priority in mind so that you can reach a compromise, because there will have to be compromise, clearly, whether her side or your side. So this is something that you wrote in the group, and it does seem to focus on the kids. I don't have the situation that led up to it. And maybe there are other things going on in the relationship that is creating this issue. But I think it's important when you express yourself that it prioritizes not only the children, but her as well. Because for her to go to this space, if this isn't common or this didn't happen before kids, then you have to also empathize and see where she's coming from. And you probably do. From what you wrote, it sounds like you know where she's coming from, but there's just no way you can meet her expectations. So what do you do about that? My approach is always trying to understand where she is and why she may be frustrated, which is why I started by saying, you said you would do this. That's why I started there, because if I'm in a relationship with you, let's just put it on the table. I'm in a relationship with you and I tell you, hey, I'm going to go take the car to get fixed. And then a week goes by and you've been to work and you come back and you say, hey, I want to take the car tomorrow. And I go, I didn't get it fixed yet. What's that going to make you think? You might say, well, okay, no big deal. That might be your answer. Or you might say, I really wanted to take the car tomorrow. I thought you were going to get it fixed. And then we might have an argument. And then I have to say, well, I just forgot. Things got in the way. And so the conversation could go anywhere, could turn into an argument. But what does that do? What kind of seed does that plant inside of you? When I said I would do something and I don't do it, what ends up happening is that you have a little bit less trust in my word. And if that gets repeated over and over and over again, then what ends up happening is this kind of thing that you're describing now. There's some sort of tension that builds and stress and sometimes mistrust. And then that mistrust can turn into little lashing out or little explosions. You said you would do this. How come you didn't do this? And it's not about that moment. It's about all the compounding moments that led up to that. Believe me. I've said so many times, okay, I'm going to do that project. Okay, you said you want that. I'll do it. I'll do it. And every time she says something, I have full intention. I'm talking about my wife. Every time my wife says something, can you do this project? I'll say, yes, of course. I'll be happy to do that. And then one thing leads to another, and that project doesn't ever happen. And then I remember one day, oh, I have all these projects. Which one did she want me to do first? Ugh. So I've had to adjust. I've had to adapt. And I knew I was forgetful, so I got myself a whiteboard. And I also ask her every weekend, or almost every weekend, what do you need done? So she knows I've been forgetful. She even told me, you said you're going to do it, but you don't do it. Oh, I don't want that to happen. I don't want her to have that feeling about me. So I've planned accordingly. I got some stuff written down on the whiteboard, and I also ask her every weekend, what do you need done? Oh, and then she feels good because I'm asking her, and she knows that when I ask her that I am ready to do it right then and there. And so actually it was like our pantry. She said, can you just put that extra shelf in our pantry? And to her, it's 5 minutes. To me, it's like 3.5 hours. So she says, it should only take you 5 minutes. And I put it in, and I don't want it to look like crap. So I do it nicely. And then she comes in, she goes, oh, well, I like that. Oh, and then she spends about 45 minutes rearranging things. And she loves it. And I love doing that for her. But I had to figure out a method that didn't continue planting the seeds of mistrust in our relationship. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to follow through. And if I forget, that's a lack of planning on my part. That's a poor organizational skills on my part, which I do have. I have poor organizational skills. I don't have very good organizational skills. So I have to account for that. Oh, I don't organize well. So I'm going to remind myself on my smartwatch. I'm going to put it in my sticky note app. I'm going to put it on the whiteboard. And what's the fourth thing? I'm going to go ask her, what do you need done? Just in case all of that fails. Set yourself up for success. That's my final suggestion for you. Thank you to the 2 people in the Facebook group, and I hope my insights and opinions have helped you in some way. Good luck with everything, and thank you for listening to another episode of The Overwhelmed Brain. I want to thank Cecilia. She decided to donate, and I am so grateful. It warms my heart. Thank you so much for giving to the show, and I'm just, some people don't write notes. They just say, here's some money. I don't know why, and I just have to assume that they like what I'm doing here and they value it, so they give back, and that's just humbling. So thank you, Cecilia, and thank you to the patrons who give every month. I am so grateful for you and so grateful for your generosity, and again, it just warms my heart. And if you value the show and you want to give back, you can head over to moretob.com, and there are ways to do so over there. Thank you again, and I'm going to tell you about another show that I do called Love and Abuse. If you are dealing with a difficult relationship, perhaps emotionally abusive, or you want to learn if your relationship is emotionally abusive or controlling or manipulative, head over to Love and Abuse over at loveandabuse.com. And if you know you're the difficult one in the relationship and you want to change that about yourself, join the program that is helping a lot of people heal over at healedbeing.com. And with that, always keep your mind open, because that's how you make the best decisions. And be firm in your decisions and actions so that you can create the life you want. Always take steps to grow and evolve. You are powerful beyond measure. And above all, and this is something I absolutely know to be true about you, you are amazing.